Hello everyone. So we are back with another IG live, and this time we have someone straight from Netherlands. Her name is Mehek Kapoor and she's a UX designer. I don't know how many of you already know about what UX designing is, but let's just quickly wait for her to join in, and yeah, we'll then begin with the IG live to know what her journey is exactly like and how she became a UX designer, and if any one of you wants to become a UX designer, what kind of journey to follow and so on. So let's just wait for Mehek for a couple of seconds, for a few seconds, and then let's see. Let's get to know her journey. Okay, Mehek, I am sending you a request already. Can you Okay, yeah, you're here. Perfect.
Hi. So thanks
Hello,
for
Mehek.
having me.
You're most welcome, and thank you for letting us have you here. I'll begin with a quick introduction of you so that everyone gets to know you. So, Mehek is a product user experience designer working in Nextpac's travel technology in the Netherlands, and she did her masters of design from NIFT in India. She is in this field since last 3 years now, and before that, she did computer science engineering. So it's not difficult to guess where she's coming from, right? So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
yeah, welcome to the IG Live, Mehek. When we circulated that we are going to have an IG Live with you, we received a lot of DMs asking questions. So I'll start with the questions right away. So the first question that the users want to know from you is that what exactly is UX design and how is it different from UI design?
Yeah, sure. So I also have the questions written on small chits. I don't know. Okay, I guess this will be the other side, like the other way around, mirror image. Sorry, this won't work then. So, okay. I thought I'll keep the questions in my hand so that if anyone is joining, let's say in the middle of the answer, they get to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I don't think this is going to work. But okay. So yeah, UX design and UI design. This is one of the most common questions that I get. And the one way to understand it is UI is more into the beautification side, like how you make things look good, right? And UX is on the functional side, how you make things work good. So this is the major difference in the simplest language I can explain. So one of the examples I can also show you is, so you see, this is the oldest website of Apple. So you see, there is so much information and there is just so much clutter on it. There is like you can't find how you can't see how you can make a purchase, how you can go and see what kind of products they're selling. So it's all full of information. Same is the case when you talk about IRCTC website. Now they have improved it. So yeah, now if you see Apple's current website, so you see a major difference here. So you see, they have reduced the amount of information. They have now just focused on the products they are selling. And if you go down, you can very clearly see the products they're selling, and also the information is clear. Like if you want to buy a MacBook, you have the option right here. You buy an iPad, you buy an iPhone, you have all the options right on top. So this is the major difference between UX and UI design. So if I only change the colors and typography here and I don't really make it functional, I don't sort the information, it will just be UI. But if I dive deep into how I can make a user's experience better and how I can make sure that whoever is coming on this website not only finds information easily, but also has the entire process of checking out, it should be easy. So that is UX. So this is the major
Understood.
difference between UX and UI. Yeah.
All right, that's great actually. So in the loop, what happens first? Does the work of a UI designer come first, or is it the UX designer's work that comes first?
So of course, it's UX design that comes first. You make the website functional, then you decide what kind of colors and what kind of type you are going to use. So if you are only going to stick with the type and the colors, what about functionality? So functionality is what comes first. So as a UX designer, you have to come up with the user flows, the user journey maps, the information architecture. So there is a lot of stuff and a lot of work that you have to do as a UX designer. But the beautification part comes right at the end when you're going to ship the entire thing to a developer.
Understood. Okay, that's quite useful. So the second question there is that what steps to follow to enter this field if one is a beginner, and what kind of skills does one need? Are there any courses that one should do?
Yes. So, if you are in school, so then you can go for a bachelor's in design. If you are already in your bachelor's or you are complete with your bachelor's, then you can go for a master's in design. And if you are a master's, you have a ton of certifications and courses that you can follow. So, for example, if you take my journey, I was a bachelor in computer science engineering, and after that, I did my master's from NIFT, and then I also did additionally some more courses. So there are many groups and there are many websites where you can register yourself for a certification course if you don't really want to go through the entire process of college education. Like you don't want to spend 3 or 4 years in college. You can do like there is Interaction Design Foundation, that is IDF. They provide very insightful and very good courses on UX and UI design. So this is one I highly recommend because I have also done 4 certification courses from there, and they make things really simple and easy to learn. The other one is from IBM. They take sessions on design thinking, and the third one is from NN Group, that is Nielsen Norman Group. And there are many other courses that you will find on websites like Udemy and Coursera as well. But I personally don't know about them because I haven't done them. So I really can't vouch for them. But I will definitely highly recommend IDF. So that's Interaction Design Foundation. And I will also, like, if you want, you can see, like, go to their website and see all the courses that they have. You'll get a lot of information.
Understood. Okay. Another question that we received from a lot of them was if you could shed some light on how to find career opportunities, especially freelancing opportunities in this field.
Yes, so apart from having a full-time job, freelancing is something that is widely popular in UX design and UI also. So for freelancing, you have websites like Fiverr, Upwork, and freelancer.com, and here in Netherlands, it's freelancer.nl. So you have regional websites as well. And apart from that, if you don't want to go register on these websites because some of them ask for some kind of upfront payment, so if you don't want to do that, you can go on LinkedIn and find out if there are requirements of a freelancer or a contract-based person in your region or in your country. So you will find a lot of people who want a designer, but only for a short term. So they don't want to hire someone full time, but they want someone on a short term basis. So you can go try that.
All right. So for these kind of websites, even college students can register, right? Because college
Yeah.
students might want an opportunity to earn some pocket money, and then this could be one of the options for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And apart from this, I also remember there are some groups on Facebook that you can join, like just type in UX design or UX design in India. You will find a lot of groups. And in those Facebook groups, people often hire a lot of designers on freelancing and contract base, or maybe just project on base of a project. So you will find a lot of opportunities to learn and directly work in the field.
Oh, that's really cool. All right. So, are there some challenges that you face as a part of your job? If yes, what are those challenges?
Yes, there are a lot of challenges because many times it happens that you are designing something, and when you try to give it to the developer, he will say that they cannot develop this. Sorry, this
Oh,
can't be done. So then you have to, talk to them. It might be time consuming. So this is one of the most common challenges that designers will ultimately face in their careers. That whatever you are designing has to be something that also can be developed. So don't waste your time designing something that cannot be translated into a functional website or an application. You are wasting your time and you are going to waste the developer's time. So one thing is just like one thing I would say is to be able to understand a bit of front end languages like HTML, CSS, but it is not a necessity. Again, it's not a necessity because people then again come with questions that do I need to be a front end developer to be a UX designer? No, you don't need that. But it is always good to understand these languages so that you can see if something if I'm designing something, can that be developed as well, or maybe there has to be a change in that. So that really helps you because then you will not waste your time designing the flows that ultimately cannot be developed. So this is one of the most challenging things, interacting with the developers in the team and making sure that your designs are converted into proper websites and applications.
Okay, understood. So that maybe what I've gathered from what you've said is that maybe one need not have that core IT knowledge if one needs to become a UX designer. So even people who are not from the computer science background per se can become UX designers. Am I right in that assumption?
Yes, definitely. If you are just a school pass out, let's say you have done only 12th. After that, you go into a college and do your bachelor's in design. So there is no way you can learn front-end languages or engineering or any knowledge about technology as such. But even then, you can become a designer. So again, knowing front-end languages is not important. It's not even a necessity. So don't worry about that.
All right. There's one more question, something I've always been curious about. In my circles, what I've always heard is that some people are just inherently born with that sense of design. People can look and say what colors look good where and all that. Is that true, or can that be developed through courses and other such things?
I would say both of the things are true. Yes, there are people who are born with that sense of design and that sense of, understanding what looks good. So this always happens, and this always helps. If you are one of those people who can instantly tell that this combination of colors is not looking good, maybe design is for you. Maybe you can take it up as a career. But it can also be developed, so it might take some more efforts and some more practice because you have to be open to criticism. That is one of the most important things. If you don't have that sense of design, try to understand if someone is telling you that your combination is not looking good. Don't take it as an offense. Try to learn and improve from it, and then through practice you can understand all these things. So it's not necessary that you have to have a sense of design and you have to be born with it. You can also learn and develop it. So yeah.
All right, that's great. So we've talked about the challenges in the work, but what do you enjoy the most about your work?
I like the most enjoyable thing as a UX designer is, finally when your design is developed and it is shipped as a website or an application, and then people use it in real time and they come back to you and tell you that how much the entire experience has improved and it has become better. So that is one of the best parts, like talking to users during the process and after one of your designs has been shipped and it is being used by real people. So that's one of the things that I enjoy the most as a designer.
That's great. Okay. So, would you like to share an interesting experience that you might have had as a UX designer?
A lot of them. So, as a UX designer, you might also have to be involved in research processes at the early stage of a project. So, how a process of a UX design usually goes is first you gather requirements for the project. You might have to talk to people for that. And when you're talking to people, there are, sometimes very interesting things that happen because user requirements are necessary, of course, because that is what you're building your product for. But sometimes they don't really understand what you want. So I would like to share one incident that happened when I was working in India and we had a project for Uber. We were doing a small project. It was a core research project for Uber. So we called a couple of drivers to the office for a research session, and they thought that we are going to make a complaint to Uber or they are doing something illegal, or we are going to sue them or do something against them. So they were so scared all the time, and we just asked them very simple questions ki, if I can speak Hindi. I don't
Yeah,
know
of
if
course, of course.
yeah, so because those drivers they did not understand English, we had to talk to them in regional languages. We even had one Kannada speaking a girl who interacted because we were doing this research session in Bangalore. So we asked those drivers कि भैया जब आप application use करते हैं, what is the one feature that you use the most? How do you sign in? So they're like, madam हम वही करते हैं जो हमें बताया, हम कुछ गलत नहीं करते. And we are like, we are not asking you if you do something wrong. You just have to
Yeah,
explain us the process. So this is one of the most interesting things that happened with me when I was a designer, because we all were laughing and we did not really understand like how to make these guys use the application, not be scared all the time, because they thought we are going to make a complaint against them. So
that's
so
really interesting and funny at the same time. Okay.
yeah.
So, what are some of the income prospects in this field? If you could maybe draw the hierarchy from for someone who joins as a beginner to then climbing up the ladder, what are some of the income prospects one can look at?
Yes, so coming to one of the most interesting things in design, that is salary. So, yes, a lot of people have asked this question, like, how much do you earn as a UX designer? So, it depends on a lot of factors. So, it's not like every designer has one fixed salary or every level of designer has one fixed salary. So, if you are starting out and you are not a master's, you're just a bachelor's. So, your starting salary might be equal to what a developer gets in the market in India. So that might be even 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs a year, even 5 or 6. So it really depends upon a lot of other factors, like what is the college that you have graduated from. If it is an IIT or an NID, you will get a higher package. If it's not, you will get a lower one. And if you, again, and the other thing is how good you are at your work, how much you have, how many projects you have done in your portfolio, how much freelance work you have done, because all of that adds as an experience. So if you have a good experience in the field, you will get more salary. If you are a master's, your starting salary might be around 12 or 15, and it goes to, as high as like 20, 25. And if you are a senior designer, you can earn even more than that. People who are in big companies like Microsoft, Google, their salaries are in the bracket of like 30 plus. So they're earning to 35 lakhs per annum. And if you go abroad, like Europe or USA, so you go even higher. So because of course there are currency difference, there is minimum wage laws that come into place. So in countries abroad, the you can say the entire level of salaries is very different from in India, because in India you will experience that people who have graduated from same college in the same year are earning completely different salaries,
Right.
because there are no minimum wage laws that are there. There is no law that says if you are above 30, this is the minimum you have to be paid. But if you come abroad, these are the kind of laws that protect you from getting exploited. So yeah, in India, it's a massive difference. But yes, UX design or product design, the most you can say high paying fields, and it is going to remain the same in coming future as well. So there are people who are even earning 50 lakhs and 60 lakhs, even more in India. That's in India that I'm talking about. People who are head of design, head of the product, or art directors. So they have their salaries on a very high end. So it's not like this field cannot pay you.
That's really good. I mean, this is not only an interesting field if it can pay you also. I mean, nothing like that then.
Huh.
Also, in the campus placements, for example, someone from IT will have those coding tests and all of that. What kind of test can a UX designer have? I mean, how do you test someone's sense of design? Or even
Yes.
if, let's say, I'm the founder of Elucidation Today, how do I, when I have to hire a UX designer and I don't know anything about UX design, how do I even check if someone has a good sense of design or not?
Yeah, so whenever there's a hiring process for a designer, most companies they hand out take-home assignments. So that is what we call them, and they give a problem that people have to solve, and the problem does not really need to be solved visually. It can even be, you can write a paragraph and you can submit it saying that this is my answer. So it's not like you have to solve a code. For example, if you're going for an engineering job, they might give you a problem to solve. Who's the answer is a code or something. Like I don't know. I am not an engineer, but yeah, that might be something. But for designs, what they do is they will give you a problem like design an interface for a web application where you are, let's say, where you want an interface for 10 people who want to have a video call together, and you also give them a platform where they can, show a presentation.
Okay.
And then you also give them, like, then one of the other features in the application can be passing the control. So it has to be very simple. So how do you design such an interface? And how is it going to be different from MS Teams, Google Hangouts, and let's say Zoom? So all these video calling applications. So you can take some inspiration from the already existing products, but it should not be some copy paste of one of the products. So you have to come with some original features of your own. So this is how mostly companies test the skills of UX designer, because as a UX designer, one of the main skills that you should have is the problem solving capability, not exactly just the colors or the type, but how do you solve a problem with design perspective, from the perspective of design thinking. So that is one of the main challenges in an assignment.
Okay, that's really cool. Another question that I have is, and from my side, this is going to be the last question. So, all of you who are watching, if you have any more questions, you can start typing it in the chat box already. So, yeah, Mehek, my last question to you would be that if someone is looking to enter this field as a beginner, what kind of advice would you like to give to them?
Yeah, so for the beginners, I have just one major piece of advice. Don't really focus your portfolio or your case studies around just the colors or just the type or the visual part of it, because mostly portfolios that I come across personally, I've done some portfolio reviews of people who have just graduated from colleges. I found this is a common pattern in them. So they only have projects that are very beautiful, they look beautiful, but why they made certain design decisions is not clear. So if I ask them, like, why did you put this button on the right side? Why not on the left side? And if you are using something, let's say a mobile interface, and most people use a mobile with one hand, like
Right.
this. Your thumb is most useful part of your body that interacts with the mobile phone. So then
Right.
you need to have all the buttons and the main action items in the bottom part of the mobile and not on the top. So if someone is designing a mobile interface and they have a very beautiful looking mobile interface, but all the main actions are on the top, I would reject them. Doesn't matter how beautiful looking, it's not functional. So this is one of the advices I would give to all the beginner and all the freshers who are entering the field, that please focus on functionality and please focus on the usability of the product that you are designing, not just visuals. Visuals are important, but they are useless if your product is not functional.
All right, that's really interesting. We already have a question in the chat box, which is that how do you validate the UX flow, and how do you know if it is efficient?
Okay, so you can have multiple user journeys for one product, right? So I will explain it in as simple way as possible. So for example, we are on an IGTV live right now. We are all using Instagram, right? So let's say there are two users. One of them is just, you can say, the scroller. Someone who just comes on Instagram, sees stories, sees the photos, likes them, and goes away. He doesn't post anything. The other person is someone who has maintained their Instagram account as a blog. So they are someone who have to post stories every day. They have to post pictures every day. They are an influencer or a fashion blogger. So they have a lot of interaction going on with their users. Right. So here we have two different user flows. One is the person who is only using to view everything. The other is a person who is actually interacting with the application and making, posting photos and making content. So
Mhm.
user journey of single product for two different users is completely different. So when it comes to validating a user flow, for any product, you make multiple user journeys and see that there can be different users who will use your, one product differently. So how to validate them is talk to those users, have some user research sessions after your product is released, and then you try to understand if if they are facing any problem. And if you don't have users to talk to, even then it's not a necessity to talk to users all the time, because there are sometimes limitations. So if you don't have users to talk to, you can imitate, as a user, you can use your product and imitate the journey and see how is it going, if you are getting stuck anywhere, if you have a problem, or if you think that this process can even be done faster. So why do you want to have like 10 steps? If that can be reduced to 5 steps, your problem is solved. So that is how you actually measure the success. So first parameter is time, how much time it is taking to complete a flow. The second parameter is focus or the attention of user, because users these days are, it's very difficult to hold their attention. So users these days are so fast, they want to move to something else. So if an app is not working for them, they will kill it. They will move to some other app. They will even uninstall it and download the competitor's app. So you want to prevent that from happening. So these are the two major things that you should keep in mind when you are, decide like thinking about the success or the main parameter of success for an application.
Understood. Okay. So we have another question, which is, does UX designer have to do UI designs also?
Sometimes not. It's not a necessity, but yeah, if your company has like two or three, like small team, then you might have to do the screens as well, and that involves UI design.
All right. Okay. Someone's asked if this video will be uploaded on the IGTV after live. So yes, the answer is yes, that it will be uploaded. So all of you can go after the live also and watch it completely. There's another question. Where do you go for UX design inspiration?
Yes, for UX design inspiration, you have many websites. I usually one is Behance, where I go and I type very specific things that I need at that time. Let's say I'm designing dashboards and I need an inspiration for dashboards, so I will just type in dashboards and search in Behance or in Dribble. So again, don't really follow them for UX because these are UI focused websites. So I will not really recommend them for UX. But for UX, generally, it's like you will not find exact inspiration anywhere because there is no website that explains you how to do things. It is you just have theoretical processes that you need to know to come out with answers. So you can apply those processes and you can find solutions. But for UI inspiration, you can go to Behance and Dribble. These are the two most common websites.
All right. Do we also find some relevant information on Medium app, which is mostly a blogging platform or something like that?
Yes, so Medium is one of the places where you find stories posted by people who have different experiences or who have solved some problems. So that is one place even I go to if I'm stuck somewhere or if I need some reference. But again, I will not call it a UX inspiration application as such, because it is mostly like you will find stories there. You cannot really find answers.
Right. Okay. So can you please explain shortly the process of UX design? This is another question.
Yes. So if you want to understand UX in brief, the first thing is you gather user requirements. Then you also talk to business. These are like parallel things. So you can count them in one step. So you gather user requirements and you talk to the stakeholders or the business people in your company and try to understand the features that you want in your application or your website. And then the second part is talking to the developers. So I personally recommend involving the developers and the QA people right in the beginning of the project. So don't really wait till you are done with the designs and then you involve them. Then it might be problematic. So it's better to involve them right in the beginning phases of the project, so that you all can discuss and understand how you can solve a problem. And then you can talk to the users again and make a prototype or make a short, you can say, a list of features or document them in a document. Like what I do is I'll explain my personal way of working. So once I have talked to the developers and I know that okay, these 5 features are ones that we definitely need in the application. So I will make documents for all those 5 features and I will try to simplify those features as much as possible. And then I will also try to see if I can visualize those features without actually making a screen. So once I've done that, then I will again show those documents to my product manager and my product owner. And if everything, gets a green signal, like let's do this. Then I go to my tools like Sketch or Figma, and then I create screens, and then I make the designs. Finally, when the designs are done, then I make the prototypes, and then I show those prototypes to the users and see how they're interacting with them, if there is a problem or if there is something we can change. And then finally, once the changes are made, once everyone is happy with the designs, then those designs go to development. And then the development teams takes them up and then they like incorporate them into the final website or the application, and then we release it.
All right. So it is indeed a lengthy process, and it does require some reiterations also, because if anyone at any stage wants you to do certain things, you will have to go back and make those changes and send again, right?
Yes, of course. So
All right.
design reason more and more companies are now hiring designers because getting something developed and then changing it again is much more time consuming as compared to when you are just doing it in designs. Because in
Right.
development there's a lot of code involved and there is a lot of QA testing that has to happen, and finally when the product is released and if the users say that this is not what we want, or you should change it. So then it becomes, then you have to follow the process all over again. So it's difficult.
Okay. Another question is that is a degree particularly needed for UI and UX? I think you've partly answered that already in the conversation before. Also,
Yeah.
if one already is in this field, then would getting a degree mean getting more opportunities also?
So the answer to this question can be a yes and a no, because it is really, really subjective and it depends upon what kind of profile you have. If you already have experience in the field, let's say you worked for 5 years as a designer, and then you are thinking to go for a master's because you want to now go into product management, or you want to be a product owner in the future, then I will suggest yes, you should do masters, because till you are a bachelor's and you are working as a UX designer, there will be a limitation that you will face in your career, if not now, maybe 5 years down the line, because then you are ultimately a bachelor. Some positions have, they require a master's, but that might also change in future. So I'm not saying that this is something absolutely necessary. So it depends. As I said, it's subjective. So if you have a good profile, and if you can convince the people in your company to, give you an opportunity to manage a project, then you can be a product manager without having a master's. But if you are someone who is, let's say, a fresher, or who is yet to start, then some kind of education is always important, because otherwise the company cannot really trust you. Why should they hire you as a designer? And what kind of experience you have, they don't know. So to convince them, or maybe to present yourself or present your profile more strongly, because when you're applying in a job, you are not the only applicant. There will be hundreds of other people along with you. So how do you make sure that you stand out of all of that competition, and you are you should be selected for that position? So the only thing that differentiates is your education and your experience. So these are the two things that make you stand out of the crowd. So how well you present yourself is something that comes later. So, there's a door, and the key to that door is either a master's or your experience. So once you enter that door, then you can present yourself. Then you can tell them how good you are. But you cannot present yourself if you don't have the key to that door. So
Right.
that's why it's important.
Agreed. Okay. Also, from whatever conversation we've had, I got to know that UX designers are employed in website making, in app development. Are there other things also where they can work? I mean, apart from developing a website or developing an app, are there other, I don't know, other softwares or other things where UX designers might be needed?
Yes, absolutely. So a website or an app is something that is customer facing or user facing, something that people, like the common people, use. There are certain applications which are only used by a very small group of people. For example, Uber, let's say Uber. So Uber's customer app, the one that me or you, we all use to book a ride, that is something that's used by everyone. But then there are two more products of Uber that people don't know about. One is the driver's application that the drivers are using. The third one is called Fleet app. So Fleet is something people don't know, because it is strictly for the partners. So there are people who have multiple cars. They don't want to drive it because they're rich. They don't need to drive Uber to make money. So they hire drivers, and they give those cars on a lease or on rent basis to those drivers. So that is where Uber Fleet comes into action. So these are the three products in Uber itself. So there are UX designers who are working on the user application, people who are working on driver's application, and then there are designers who are solely working on the fleet app. So
Right.
similarly, for every single product that you see, it can be Zomato, Swiggy, or let's say banking application, there is always a product that is used by a specific set of people, and they need designers for that as well. So if you think that I'm a UX designer, so I will only get to work on a customer facing app, that's not true.
Agreed. Right. Okay. So, we'll wait for for maybe 10-20 more seconds if we get more questions. But you very patiently answered all the questions on the chat box, whatever we got, and I'm very very grateful for you to you for taking out time to do this IG live. It has been extremely insightful. I'm someone who has nothing to do with UI or UX, and I'm someone who has no knowledge of computer science as a background, but then this conversation was so simple for even a person like me that I could really understand what you are saying. So thank you for being so easy to converse with. And I mean, I can't really thank you enough for devoting your time to do this. Thank you so much, Mehak.
That is no problem. Thank you for having me. I have one more question. Someone asked me in my inbox.
Okay.
So that is, he wants to switch the career from. Okay, how to switch career from graphic design to UX design. So let's say if you are already in the field of design, and graphic is something completely different from UX. How? Because in graphic you are making posters, you are making banners, you are making stuff for print design, let's say t-shirts maybe. So graphic is completely different. It's a part of design, but it's not UX or it's not product. So how to transition into UX or product design? So first thing is I would recommend that you should have some case studies in your portfolio, not just the graphic work. If you show them, hey, I've done some t-shirt designs and I've done some posters, they will not hire you as a UX designer. You need to have some case studies that prove that you can think as a designer and you can solve problems from design thinking perspective. After those case studies, also I would suggest you to do some certification courses, because that will give you more information about how a process of UX works, what exactly you need to do as a UX designer. So those certifications and those courses will not only help you, but they will also strengthen your resume or your profile as a designer. Then you are in much better position to apply for the jobs where you can be seen as a qualified designer. And the last thing is, if you have already worked for, as a graphic designer in the industry, you have a plus point that you are already good with visuals. That's what
Yeah.
you are. So then you can show this as, one of your strengths, that I can also work on UI design and I can be really fast at it because I already worked for like 5 years as a graphic designer. So why a company should hire you? It depends on what you bring to the table. So
Right.
always think as an employer, not as an employee. Don't say that, yes, a company should hire me because I'm good. Think about, if you are going to hire someone, why should you hire them? And if you have 10 applications, who will you hire? Then you will get much more clarity about, what you need to improve in your profile to become better than others. So
Right.
I guess that answers your question.
Yeah, that's a very nice answer. I'm sure the person who asked it is completely satisfied with this one. So yes, Mehak, thank you once again. This has been a wonderful evening talking with you, and have a good rest of the day. Really,
Yes.
thank you so much for doing this.
You too, and thanks a lot for having me. I'm very happy I could do this session, and I really hope the people who were asking questions, they got answers to them. And if not, you can still ping me on my Instagram, and I will get back to you.
Yeah, Mehak does run a very, very nice page. You can check her page out. It's at the rate Mehak Kapoor. And she constantly keeps on posting some really good stuff related to UX design. So if any of you want any more information, you already know how helpful she is now. So please feel free to reach out to her.
Yeah, and on my page, you will also find some very basic questions covered, like what is the difference between UX design and product design? What is the difference between user experience and customer experience? So these are the questions that I mostly get. So I have already covered them in one of my posts. You just have to scroll a little bit down and you'll find them.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Mehak. Take care.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Bye bye.